Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Dudley Board of Selectmen, Highway Commissioners, Cemetery Commissioners, November 4th, 2024 meeting. First order of business, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, this meeting is being recorded. First up, the approval of minutes from October 21st, 2024. What is the board's pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Johnson to accept, second by Mr. Landry. Any comments, concerns, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next up is citizens' comments. Anybody wishing to speak tonight, not on the agenda, does not require a vote of the board. Mr. Clark.
Good evening.
evening.
Richard Clark, Airport Road. It may come as something of a surprise to some residents to know that we have a park area and a basketball court off of Pine Street in Dudley. You might not notice it because there's usually I think they referred to it as a wall of iron up on the Nichols campus at one time, a number of cars in the parking area, which is upsetting enough, but the cars are now starting to migrate onto the grass area. I'm not too sure how long it's going to take before they find their way to the basketball court. Unfortunately, there's no signage there. Nothing to indicate that this basketball court exists or that this is a park area. I believe there's one bench. There might have been more at one time. But residents could very easily go by and just assume that it's another parking lot. We don't have a lot of recreational facilities in town. Hopefully something soon to be happening next door. But this is existent and something that could be utilized by people, but its visibility is very, very poor. I would suggest at least a sign of some sort indicating that it exists, and it has been the case for a number of years now. And also perhaps something in the order of a sign indicating no overnight parking, because the residents in the area have just appropriated this. And again, they're parking on the grass now, and I don't know what's left before they're everywhere.
Right, so Mr. Clark and I spoke about this last week, and I talked to the administrator and the assistant TA. That park was to be dedicated to Nellie Thompson, right? Nellie Twazik Thompson. So there will be signage coming for that portion of it, and I think we can add no parking, because I did go up after you and I spoke. I drive by it all the time.
Right.
Not only they migrated onto the grass, but there's a van, if you're facing it to the left, doesn't have a license plate on it. I assume it's to the right of the telephone pole. I assume that's part of the edges of the parking lot.
It may well be, but the issue is we shouldn't have to be asking those questions. Is that appropriate or not in terms
Right.
of where it's located? It's in all likelihood, it's something that shouldn't be there. And as I think you've noted, there are people parking on the grass, which leads to, whatever else they might want to do there. So we need to do something to clean it up. And you mentioned there's a sign, but I'd have to ask the question, when?
Well, that was the thing. The family was involved to do some kind of purchase or fundraiser. There's something, like I'll hand it off to Olivia, because she was handling that task.
Yes, through the chair, the last I knew is the family was working with a private donor to get some sort of signage dedicated towards Nellie, their mother, but I do not know the status of that project at this time.
All right, another part of this would be, once we do have signage in place, there'll be need for some enforcement.
Right, well, I was going to
Because this
say,
will be a change in people's, what's become an established habit for many people, I'm afraid.
right. I mean, we can have the police chief work with the administrator to step up, put some kind of warnings out there, maybe at first, and then step up enforcement.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, I think generally people will appreciate that, and having the use of this property going forward would be an advantage to the residents. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Clark. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll move on to an appointment. Bernice Albetsky, Dudley Cultural Council, a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2027. Is Bernice here? Hi, would you like to come up and say a few words? You can come to the table if you want, or the podium, whatever you're comfortable.
Well, thanks for accepting me, and I will do my best to do a good job.
Okay, want to say a little bit about yourself, like lived in town for X years? Or?
I've lived here for about a year and a half now. I grew up in Webster until college when I ran away from home and just came back a year and a half ago, so getting
Pretty
back
tough
into the
curriculum,
community.
huh? How long were you there? That's a pretty tough curriculum.
No, I've been in
No, I'm just kidding.
many places along the way,
We
so
certainly
just,
thank you for stepping up. Anybody have any questions for Bernice? What's the board's pleasure?
thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to go ahead and appoint Bernice, is it Albetsky, to Dudley Cultural Council, 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2027.
Motion made by Mr. Landry,
Second?
second by Mr. Shanes. Any further questions or comments, except to say thank you again? Hearing none, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Next up is transfer of property. Town Administrator Andrew Goulis from the Town of Charlton. Request for approval for the Dudley Charlton Regional School District to transfer property to the Town of Charlton. Board of Selectmen needs to vote to approve or take any action relative thereto. Mr. Goulis, how are you?
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for having me this evening. So we've been working with the Dudley Charlton Regional School District on trying to acquire about 1.5 acres of property for us to construct a new fire department substation to increase our abilities to provide fire services to the town of Charlton. And as we're working to close on the deal for the property, it was identified that this type of transaction requires a special legislative act. And as part of the Dudley Charlton Regional School District, we're coming to the Dudley Board to ask for your support for us to pursue this special legislative act.
Mr. Ruda?
I don't know if I can add much to that, Mr. Chairman. I think it, it's probably that exists in Charlton. Charlton's in need of a new fire station. We have the opportunity to show our support and support that move for our sister community, so I'm obviously in favor of it.
I know Attorney Blake's not here, but you were briefed on a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was briefed on it just briefly. I'm not familiar with exactly the whole transaction, I haven't seen the paperwork, but it would seem like they're simply asking for your approval for property essentially that's in Charlton.
Correct.
So, and owned by the school district,
That is correct.
and the school district has no further use for the property?
Correct. This is at the end of their driveway. It's a very large piece of property. So we're essentially siting the fire station in proximity to the school on land that is currently owned by the district, but wouldn't have any direct impact on the school district itself.
And Mr. Chair, I've received an email from Mr. Lamarche to that effect as well.
So is it outside the Heritage School? Is that where it is? Over that side?
Charlton Middle School,
Charlton
so
Middle,
the closest one more toward the center of town.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, Mr. Goulis? No concerns? So how do we have to word this motion? Just grant the request? Or grant?
I would make a motion to support our transfer of property from the school district to the town, owned by the school district to the town of Charlton, and support any special legislation that might have to follow, something along those lines. Sound okay to council?
So moved, yeah.
Is that Olivia? Somebody want to just
So moved?
move by Mr. Landry?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any further questions, concerns, comments? Public? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Good
Thank
luck.
you very much. Appreciate it.
No statue.
Or dormers?
That's an inside Dudley joke.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Next up, we have a acknowledgement of a retirement. Deputy Fire Chief Paul Konishka, and before he comes up, I'd just like to read a small tribute that was done to him on the last day of the shift. Dudley Chief Paul Konishka, known by most as PK or Paul Con. Town of Dudley, its citizens, and the Dudley Fire Department express our deepest gratitude. Paul, you can come up if you want. Well, I'm not talking to anybody. Boy, not like 10 days in Florida, too, to make you look like a new man, huh?
Naples is a good spot to visit.
Yeah, we could just gotta time it right in between those little windstorms they have.
Yeah, yeah.
We express our deepest gratitude upon your retirement from the fire department after 42 years of service. Having joined the call department in 1982, your service predated the lives of nearly all your brothers and sisters you serve with today, or served. In 1988, you became a full-time member of the department. In the years that followed, you rose through the ranks, holding nearly every rank in Dudley Fire Department with your promotion to lieutenant in 2004, captain in 2011, assistant chief in 2018, and final promotion to deputy chief in 2021. Having spent the majority of your career on the floor as a line officer, as long as being instrumental in the Safe House program, public education, and as the town's fire inspector, you have without a doubt left your mark on not just the department, but the community as a whole. Deputy Chief Konitska, the word thanks does not appropriately sum up our gratitude for your service. While you and your brothers, David and Tom, turned the fire service into the family business, it does not diminish the sacrifice your family has had to make throughout your career. We thank your wife Patty, your children Scott and Katie for the sacrifices they have made over the years, each time that alarm rang and you answered the call. As you left the firehouse for your final shift, we all wish you the best for a long, happy, healthy retirement. To echo the words of Greg Linsky out of Dispatch Center, Deputy Chief PK, your service is now complete. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I just say a couple of things?
You can say as much as you
So-
want, we got all night.
No, just a couple of things here. I would be lying. Thank you for the kind words, first of all, Mr. Sullivan. I would be lying to say that I am self-made and I am the only reason why I'm here tonight. That's farthest from the truth. I had good people in front of me when I was first hired into the system, and I paid attention to those people. And I picked and chose certain aspects of what they did in their career, their mannerisms, their work ethic, their skills, and I mimicked those individuals. So I am really a mutt, if you would want to put it, where I am a piece of many, many people throughout my career. Too many to list tonight, but without those people in front of me, there is no way that I can have the drive and integrity to become what I have in my service. So the people that were with me when I came into the service, thank you. To the people that I work with today, including Chief Kochanowski, who has offered me more than most others have in my entire career. He just let me go and do what I needed to do in my own particular way, and I appreciate that. But without the understanding of family, this is a difficult career, and it's difficult and challenging on family members. Sometimes you miss something on a weekend day. Sometimes you miss something on a weekend night, a weekday afternoon, or who knows what it is. But without the acceptance of family, you will never be able to achieve success. So for Patty, Scott, Katie, I thank you. I'm sorry for what I have missed throughout my career, but that also offered me the additional time for studies, testing, skill set building, and to move my career forward. But also with what you had mentioned is the family business. My older brother, David, who retired as a captain here in Dudley in the fire department, younger brother, Tom, who currently is a battalion chief in the Franklin, Mass. Fire Department, they've been good people to lean upon career-wise. If I'm kind of convoluted in some thoughts and not really knowing which way to decide on a issue, I can really lean on them and get a good point of view from them. So for that opportunity, I would say thank you to my two brothers also. I've enjoyed working in this community. I've enjoyed working for the people that I know, that I grew up with. I was born here, raised here. I haven't gone anywhere. So I'm proud to say that I can serve the people of this community that I know so well. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
Board members.
Paul, thank you for being an incredible ambassador, not only for the fire department, but also for the town of Dudley. I've had many people mention that when they talk to you in an event, they get a much better sense of what really goes on in the fire department, and There's a lot of trust there, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Landry.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say thank you to Paul as well. Working with him and his brothers for a short period of time, the whole family really shines leadership. They're always there when you need them. They'll never let you down, and they'll never lead you astray. And I took some qualities from all of them into my professional life. And I want to thank you so much for being big brothers to all of us.
So Landry, thank you.
Change.
Thank you, Paul. The thing that stands out to me most about you is that it's very clear that you are a team player and that your team is going to miss you very, very much. Like you're just a light in that house, for sure. So thank you for everything that you've done. I hope that going forward, your retirement is lovely and relaxing and you don't have to miss out on anything else.
Thank you.
So I just have a couple things I'd like to add too. I know people at home don't like to hear our stories. Some of us have used the fire department more than we admit, but one time I was in some distress and Paul was the first one on the scene. Be forever grateful for that. And as I mentioned to your fellow firefighter brothers the night of your last shift, 1982, you're there a long time.
Yes.
I was still in high school in 82, Paul.
Thank you for mentioning that. It's a great illustration. Thank you.
So we do have Senator Fatman and Rep. Marcy here. So before I bring them up, I just want to, on behalf of the town, we have a plaque for Paul. Still call you Dep Chief. Deputy Chief, Dudley Fire Department, Paul Konishka, with great honor and appreciation for your exemplary and dedicated service to the town of Dudley. Presented on behalf of the residents of the Dudley Board of Selectmen, Stephen Sullivan, Chair, Mark Landry, Vice Chair, Janet Deshane, Clerk of the Board, Jay Johnson, and Kerry Siganevich, who's not here, but he sent his wishes through me to you.
Thank you.
So if you'd like to come up for this, or you want to wait till we have everybody come up and...
Why don't we do it all at once?
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. So at this point, I will ask Rep. Marcy and State Senator Fatman, please, to come up if they wish.
Want to have him go up to the podium?
Either way, he come to the table or the podium.
Since he's at the table, I'll sit at the table with him.
Come on in,
That'll
Chuck.
be an honor. Oh, boy, yeah. Hi, everybody. Mr. Chairman, board members, town administrator, Attorney Blake, and everybody here. It's great always to come back here and see everybody, especially on a night like tonight, hearing everybody, talk about Paul and all he's done for the town. I was honored to be able to work with Paul for the better part of 15 years, and to say he was a light is an understatement. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about him. He was definitely a team player, and showed people how to do it the right way as he was coming up and doing his job. And you never had to worry about our fire department and under his and the chief's leadership. So we're very blessed to have that here. And one of the things that I always like to say is, guys like Paul and the Konishna family, they truly are Dudley royalty and gave us their all, in keeping us safe. So with that, on the behalf of the House of Representatives, this is one of those things, Paul, that I'm honored to do, to give to special people for special events. And I'm going to read it to everybody. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Paul Konishna in recognition of your retirement from Dudley Fire Department after 42 years of dedicated service. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors, given this 4th day of November 2024, not at the State House, but here in Dudley, by the Speaker of the House, Ronald Mariano, and me, your State Rep, John Marcy. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this.
You deserve it.
And good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here with Paul, and congratulations. I appreciated what the chair said about being in high school when you started your career.
I think he was a little younger than 82.
I was not alive. So I figured I'd just give that little
Okay, let's move on.
levity. But, you know, I've been doing this for 10 years, and so when you were talking about that type of commitment, I was thinking, wow, 10 years is a long time, 42 years is a real long time, but those are well-served years.
Thank you.
Well-served years, and in the time that I've been able to work with you and see you, it's been amazing how many things you are at, whether it be in this town or in Webster. And one of the things that I'm most proud of that I really tell everyone about is that Webster Dudley has such a brotherhood and sisterhood when it comes to our public safety officials, especially the fire department. One of the most reassuring things that I always feel is on September 11th, the ceremony that happens over in Webster that honors that day. And I represent 19 towns, and there's only 2 that participate in remembering 9/11 in a formal way. And so to me, that just speaks to the character of the men and women of the fire department in both towns, and I know that you have been a part of that wholeheartedly. And you also taught me what a Lucas machine was. I'm not sure if you remember that. But that was really informative for me because I didn't realize how significant a device like that could be in a small town. Literally life and death being on the line. And that made a mission for me since we were at Tri-River when you taught me about that,
Yes.
Tri-Valley.
Tri-Valley.
And, you know, just another community event, you offering your service and trying to educate the public, and in doing so educated me, and I made it my mission to try to get every single town a Lucas machine after that in my district, which back at the time that was the case. We were able to accomplish that. So you never know what type of thing or impact you're going to have, even when there's not an explicit ask. But I have a citation from the Massachusetts State Senate as well. It reads very similar to the House of Representatives. The difference is this will get you out of a speeding ticket. Right, Chief? I like to joke.
Do I have to carry it with me?
No, just you put that on the dashboard of your car. It should be all set. But it's an honor to serve with you. I hope you enjoy retirement and hopefully some more time down in Naples.
Yes.
Congrats, Paul.
Before we have everybody come up, Chief Kochanowski, you want to say a few words?
Good evening. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It was difficult for me to see Paul go. I'm very happy for him. I mean, I made sure he got promoted up through the ranks. I saw a lot in him. He's helped me out a lot through the years, and I'm kind of sad to see him go, but I know it's the right thing to do for him, and that's what's important, is you're happy and doing what's right. Funny story, I've worked with all 3 brothers throughout my career. It ended up I worked with Tommy back in the 90s, then I worked with David and Paul when I came here. And I'd be remiss to say if I didn't mention David too, because we worked together a lot of years. Both great guys, did a good job at the department all the years I've been there. And again, it's going to be difficult to see him go at first, but I'm very happy for him.
Anybody in the public that's here have anything they want to say to Paul? I know we all had our chance that night, but it was pretty hectic, and it kind of went on a little longer than we thought. Longer for some people. Well, that being the case, Paul, why don't you come on up? You know, I'd like to give you a nice handshake. Rep in the Senate can come up with their proclamations. Patty, you want someone else to take a picture so you can be in it? Come on, I see him. I gotta take your hat off though, sir. You gotta learn the rules of the meetings.
David also is next.
Yeah, come on, Dave.
Thank you, my friends.
Great job, Paul. Thank you, sir.
Again.
Congratulations. Paul. Yep.
See if we can squeeze everybody in. I don't know if you want to try to hold them all, or you can hand one to family members.
How about somebody else holding those? I'll hold it.
Give me one. Get it out.
I'll try to squeeze in.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the other one.
There you go.
Yep.
Thank you.
I get to keep that Paul.
I was going to fold them, but okay.
It's gonna be hard to fold that one.
Put in this pocket.
No, they have covers. I just hope I didn't do any permanent damage.
Nothing that can't be fixed. Next up, we have a public hearing, a transfer of an off-premise wine and malt package store license for Germani Corp. doing business as State Line Farms. I hope I apologize if I say it wrong. Zija and Sarge, Inc., located at 59 Schofield Ave, Dudley, Mass. Manager Isabel Roma. And I declare the public hearing open at 7:02. I don't think it's 8:02, right?
No, we gotta fix that.
Declare it open at 7:02. I'm not sure if I want to hand this off to our assistant TA or our TA who handled the, Olivia, was this you?
Yes.
I'll hand this off to Olivia Antonsen, our assistant town administrator.
Mr. Chairman, this is an application I had received from the attorney representing the parties here, and everything looks good on our end. Went through the application. Everything required by the ABCC is in the application. So if there are any further questions, I'd encourage you to ask them directly.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to the applicant. Can you please identify yourselves for the record, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Josh Levine of Levine Law in East Long Meadow, and this is Isabel Roma.
Isabel Roma.
And she will be the manager of record of the store.
So it's not a change of ownership, it says change of manager?
No, I'm sorry, the manager for the new owner. It is a change of
Okay.
ownership, correct.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Landry?
Mr. Chair, my concern would be with the new corporation that's been formed in August, that's switching over to. Have they met all the compliance issues with workers' comp?
I spoke with the owner today. They do not have a workers' comp insurance policy in place. They would normally, and this is in my practice, would get the policy in place at the closing when the actual transfer comes over. I've actually had in the past where the insurance company will not issue a policy to an inactive company that is not, I know you work at a bank, but, and an insurance company as well, right? Yeah, so a little bit of kismet there. But the policy would not be able to be put in place until it's being used.
Okay. So under Mass General Law 152-25C, a corporation, the corporate officers are the employees of that corporation. Once it's active, you need a policy or an exemption form for the officers.
I can certainly get a policy. And I spoke with the owner today. He can call and get that put in place tomorrow. By the time I heard from Olivia today, I was unable to get that in place.
Okay.
Satisfied with that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Mr. Johnson?
No questions.
Mr. Administrator?
Depending on what the board decides to do after you close the public hearing, my recommendation is if you vote to approve, that the workers' comp policy is presented to the town, proof of workers' comp insurance or an exemption upon issuance of the ABCC license, of the license, the local license.
So essentially, we would vote to approve, but we...
Contingent upon just
Hold
proof
it
that the
contingent.
workers' comp is in place. And that should allow us to go forward with the vote and make sure we've satisfied our requirements on this end.
If I could just have a point of clarification, would that be to hold the approval to send to the ABCC or to issue the license after ABCC approval?
We would, upon ABCC approval, my recommendation would be, you come get the license, you show us a certificate of
Absolutely.
proof of coverage and move forward from there.
Put you on the spot, attorney.
It's
That's
generally
not
4 to
good.
6 weeks to get a license.
Put you on the spot, does that sound okay to do it that way?
That sounds fine to me.
Mr. Johnson?
Through the chair, is that consistent with what we did with the
The other transfer?
last transfer?
It's consistent, we made sure there was proof of insurance in place before issuing the license. Before the ABC came in, the license was issued.
Chief?
And by bylaw, they have to come in to do the fingerprints for the background check.
Right, we had that issue with the last one. So you guys have to make an appointment with the police to go down and be fingerprinted, Cory check. Everybody good? Close the public hearing at 7:06. What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Landry?
I make a motion to approve the license for the new corporation to transfer business and ownership over, contingent on compliance with the workers' comp laws prior to handing over the license.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson.
Discussion.
Discussion is, I was going to say, any further questions, comments?
Should we add the fingerprinting or the Cory check to that contingency?
If that's okay with us.
That's fine with me.
Just gonna add that in there too, make sure. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So to our assistant TA, can we, going forward, can we include somehow in our application approval process, workers' comp certificate must be presented upon issuance of the license at the end of the process, however you wanna?
Mr. Chairman, we'll have a discussion about including a memo with all further applications. We started talking about that today, but I'll make sure that there's a checklist that goes along with it, so it'll be less clumsy next time.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next up, under 8A, Town Council, Jeff Blake. Discussion regarding the failure of the Article 8 for mitigation, engineering, and design. Attorney Blake, greetings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for having me out here today. So I understand that you've asked me to come out and kind of outline the ramifications of a vote at town meeting to not approve an appropriation that included monies for the continuing remediation of PFAS down on the Eagle Drive area. As I know the facts, and as everybody can probably remember, it's been a while. The DEP issued an emergency response action order to the town and told them that ordered us to remediate PFAS contamination down at Eagle Drive, which included wells and required us to either install what are known as POET, point of entry systems, to treat the PFAS, or in some instances, depending upon the level of contamination, to provide water. Shortly after we were issued the emergency response order, another property owner in the area, Gentex, was also found as a responsible party, and DEP ordered them, together with us, to come to some type of cost-sharing agreement. We negotiated a cost-sharing agreement and signed it. This board signed it, and it's binding on the town. As you probably know, DEP, while they typically will work with municipalities, and we had the water people out here from DEP, and I think that they had indicated to us that they're willing to work with us and help us wherever they can. But in order to remediate is not discretionary. We have to do it. And in order for us to do it, we have to pay for it. So we're in the unenviable position of now not having the money to do it. We have a contribution agreement with Gentex that, while it doesn't necessarily result in us spending money, what we do is we spend money on remediation of like half, and it's not exactly half, and Gentex spends it on half. At some point, if we renege on our obligation, we're unable to pay, I think a couple of things can happen. DEP can come in and order us to pay. We don't have the money, they can start fining us. DEP has a very large hammer, $25,000 a day hammer. They can ultimately bring us to court, get a judgment against us for monies that they believe that we would owe. As a result of that, there is a statutory provision under, it's Chapter 44, Section 31, which allows a municipality to pay without appropriation by town meeting judgments, payments ordered by an administrative agency. So if that happened, we would go through the whole court process. Likely there would be fines. You would pay me, somebody from my firm, you would pay for legal representation, and you would ultimately end up having to pay what you could have just paid voluntarily. And then, rather than the people being able to come to town meeting and vote on it, it would just go on the tax rate. There's no approval of the appropriation. That might take care of DEP. We would also have Weston and Sampson and Safewell. Weston and Sampson is our engineer who's undertaking a lot of the required testing and remediation throughout the remediating area. Weston and Sampson would have to get paid. Likely scenario would be the same thing if Weston and Sampson would continue to work for us. But what they would do is they would run up a certain bill, they would turn around, they would sue us, you would have to defend that action, and they would ultimately get a judgment against us, and then it would be paid through, again, 44 Section 31. So unlikely that there would be attorney fees awarded in that action, but it's a lot of, it would be legal fees for my firm or any other law firm that might defend you. And then Safewell is the same thing. Safewell are the people who install the POET systems and maintain the POET systems. So again, provided they would continue to work for us, knowing that we don't have any money and that ultimately they would have to sue us to get our money, it would be the same thing. So what we would end up doing is it's not a matter of if we can pay and if the town meeting can say, well, sorry, we're not going to pay. It's when we're going to pay and frankly how much, because there will be a lot of other added costs if we're unable to find an appropriation and unable to pay these without having to go to court. And just so that you know, this isn't a continuing obligation. This isn't a one-time, you didn't pay me $100K, I sue you, now I've got a judgment and you pay and then we're all done. This will be a continuing obligation, and to the extent that these folks will continue to work for us, I mean, I can envision every 6 months, every year, they would sue us to get this. Now, what very well may end up happening is you may end up going to town meeting, your annual town meeting, and getting the appropriation, and maybe at that point, we would only have been sued once or twice to get the money. But this is where it works, and this is how it works. And again, DEP has a very large hammer. I don't think they like to use fines, but in a situation where they have a direct order out there, we all know PFAS are all over the news. This is deer season now, and there are towns in New England that are telling you don't eat deer meat because of the PFAS in it. It's a big deal, and they're going to take whatever action, I assume, that they have to get us into compliance.
Thank you for that update.
I'm sorry, I couldn't figure out a better way.
That's why we did the retirement first, get the good stuff out of the way. No, it's sobering. I mean, I sat in on phone calls in the past, and I don't think the people at the town meeting, it kind of devolved into, I don't know what it devolved into. I don't think they got the full scope of the impact on the town, but anybody have any questions for council? Mr. Shanes?
No, not right now.
Mr. Landry?
Mr. Chairman, ultimately, this could end up costing us more than what we were asking because of the actions that were taken at this time, because even if we are taken to court once or twice, paying all the fees and everything, then we still get what was owed and continue going forward. Wow.
I'm good.
Nope.
Mr. Johnson?
I don't think at this time.
Administrator?
So Mr. Chairman, I asked Jeff to come in because we're going to talk to him in executive session to see what our options are, and obviously a conversation that involves other entities beyond the town, but I wanted to have this public conversation with Jeff here to the extent that we could, so people would understand what we're now going to be facing in about 25 minutes in executive session and going forward. We've gone to great lengths to try to manage the amount of money we're spending on this. We've kept a close rein on the agreement with Gentex. We're working actively every week with DEP in order to find other sources of funding to get to the ultimate solution, which we've been talking about for several years now, which is the water line down Eagle Drive. But I want people to know going forward that no vote has a serious impact on the town at this point. It's, if somebody's in a bad mood and they vote no, there is a consequence to it. And now it's a consequence that could very well end up being one that we have not financially planned for. And it may actually go, on the backs of all the taxpayers at this point. Like usual, we're gonna try to find a way to work around it, to manage it as closely as we can, but, at this point, if there are any questions for Jeff, or if there are any questions about what we're facing, I'm hoping we can, tonight resolve some of them publicly, because this is not a laughing matter at this point.
No, not at all.
And it's certainly not something that snuck up on us. We've been talking about the water line issue. We've been talking about the agreement with Gentex. We've been talking about the PFAS issue pre-COVID. This is not something that snuck up. This was just, some bad judgment shown at the last town meeting. And I don't mind saying it.
No, we had, you organized a meeting. We had regional, I don't want to misrepresent her title, but regional manager, director, Mary Jude, who's here with her deputy. And there was some pushback from members of the audience, including some elected official. And she clearly stated, water line would solve the problem, POET systems only mitigate it. And right now, we are gonna be drowning in mitigation fees if we don't come up with a more permanent solution.
Correct.
And it couldn't have been any more clearer that night. I mean, the water superintendent got up and spoke, and I've said it, she said it. George has led our water department. We're head and shoulders above most communities. I mean, we got our place already up and running. We got funding. We got grants. I mean, they were a year or two ahead. Just look what's going on in the next town over, what they're paying. So before I open it up to the public, George, you have anything you want to add about PFAS? I know it's kind of out of your realm, but if we put a water line, then it's going to be your...
Yeah, I've had conversations with the Central Regional Director on this issue, and he had told me that because of Dudley's progression and how they've done with the development of our PFAS plant, that they're very happy to continue on helping us, and they've done that so far. maybe a question for Attorney Blake. Is there anything the state can do to assist with this as far as putting in a water line and, you know, doing something about the resistance to it that we have right now, or?
Well, as far as, and through you, Mr. Chairman, as far as the water line goes, your administrator is working with the state, and there are monies out there. We haven't gotten any awards yet, but there's certainly some of it is in the pipeline. And the issue becomes, I mean, I think it's a two-pronged issue here. There's also, I believe, the ability to request reimbursement for some of this stuff. It's not a guarantee, and as you can imagine, with PFAS, a lot of communities are dealing with this. There's a lot of people in line. But the big issue here is, as you know, state grants take time.
Yeah.
And what we're up against right now is remediation, mitigation, the POET systems, the maintenance of them. That is an ongoing, was it monthly, weekly obligation that even if the state does have money, and even if we were awarded those monies, we're looking at months and months before we would see it. And, you know, we have the entities that I've named out there assisting us in this. And, you know, we have to pay them.
Yeah, what I was more looking at is there something the state can do to assist us with the problem of getting out there to do what we need to do, putting it lightly, to kind of force the hands of the situation that we need to do this per the state, per the mandates, to mitigate this. Aside from the funding and that, I mean, because right now with the vote, your hands are pretty much tied a little bit, but is there anything the state, the DEP or whatever can do to assist the town that way, that we can move forward to get this thing going, aside from funding, just to get this thing moving?
Sure, I don't like to say this because it's my client, but what the state could do is they could sue us and get an order for money damages, and that would allow us to pay it under 44 Section 31. We don't have a whole lot of options.
Okay, so I mean, actually getting the town into the development to do this is more the concern now because of the vote. So I understand about the funding issues and all that stuff, but, you know, is there anything the state can assist us legally, like an eminent domain, call it, if you want to call it that, something to move forward into that?
Well, the town can exercise its right of eminent domain. The big issue here is not getting the rights to get in there and put a water line down the center of the road. I mean, that would have to come to a town meeting vote. But the big issue is paying for it, because you can have all the easements in the world going down the road, but if you got to put an $8 million water line, and I'm just making this up, don't hold me to this at home. If you got to put an $8 million water line down the middle of the road, and you own the road and you own the easements, and you haven't got the $8 million, it's not going to work. The issue is the money, because we do have the right to exercise our right of eminent domain, and something like putting a water line down, getting an easement to put a water line down a private road to remediate PFAS, that's a public purpose all day long. And the only issue then would be how much do you pay? But again, it's really about the money, and in the short term, it's really about how do we get the monies to continue this agency ordered remediation.
Thank you.
Anybody have questions for council? Hearing none. Next, 8B, Board of Selectmen Highway Commissioners vote to approve recommendation of Highway Superintendent Search Committee to change the status of MJ Gatsky from acting Highway Superintendent and appoint to Highway Superintendent effective November 4th, 2024. I'll call the chiefs up along with MJ. I'm not sure who chaired that subcommittee, but
George as well, Mr. Chair.
George. Yep.
Just real quick, A couple weeks ago, we came up to the board. We gave a job description to the board. MJ has met all the qualifications on that job description. I think he's done a great job filling in the year or so that we had a vacancy. And I believe the whole board made a decision that MJ deserves the opportunity to become a permanent superintendent of the highway department.
Mr. Gasky, anything you'd like to add?
I'd like to thank you for this opportunity, and hopefully I do what everybody expects me to do, and I've been doing it for the last basically almost a year of this so far, and everything's been going pretty well, so hopefully everything is going to be pretty good.
Board members, Mr. Johnson.
MJ, I think you've done a great job using the resources at your fingertips to spread them in areas of most concern and still keep up with the general stuff. So I think you've done a great job utilizing the town's resources. So thank you.
Mr. Landry.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank MJ for all the hard work he's been putting in, the long hours, making sure that his team moves forward in bettering the town of Dudley with what they have. There are resources, and I know they're limited, and we'd like to have more and more personnel, and you've made happen what needs to happen without having what you really need. So thank you for that.
Mr. Shanes.
I think this is the right decision based on all of the projects you've taken on in the last year and the way they've all successfully come to fruition. I mean, highway especially, everywhere across town, things are getting better all the time, and it's with a small staff and with a lot of dedication, and I think that's a credit to you, MJ, so thank you so much.
Thanks.
You know, we've, in one way or another, we've all said in the past, when we say highway department, it doesn't even do justice, even back when it was Mr. Guyon and Mr. Paletta. They're the guys out there, they help put the door on downstairs with the slot in it. I mean, they're more than just highway workers, and MJ has worked his way up the ranks. My neighborhood was his plow route back in the day, and I can remember being out snow blowing, and MJ would stop and I'd give him a coffee, and he wasn't even the foreman, then his phone would go off, and it was the guys below him calling with questions or concerns, and couldn't reach whoever was in charge at the time, and MJ has always stepped up, whether he was in that actual position or not. And I agree, this is a great appointment, and someday maybe, I see Mr. Spall's grandson's here, maybe he'll be sitting up here and you'll be doing 42 years. Any comments from the public? Anybody have anything they want to add? Seeing none, what's the board's pleasure? Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendation of the Highway Superintendent Search Committee to change the status of MJ Gasky from acting Highway Superintendent and appoint him to Highway Superintendent effective November 4th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Landry. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. MJ, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
MJ, can we do a little picture for posterity?
When he retires next month.
Dude, you got a lot of hair on there. You got a hat on all the time. You got a lot of hair. I wear a hat because I have to.
You know who I am.
Thank you.
Thanks, MJ.
Is that our cutest smile?
This might be the earliest we've ever had a request. Knights of Columbus Council 228, toll booth, September 20.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, town clerk's going to swear him in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see Lori come in. I apologize, Lori.
Grab a picture of that.
Do you solemnly swear to faithfully and impartially perform the duties of your appointed position?
I do.
Knights of Columbus Council 228, a toll booth request, September 27, 2025, with a rain date of October 4th, 2025, in the area of 3 West Main. Is somebody here for that?
Mr. Chairman, this is a request I had received from one of the members of the Knights of Columbus, and he indicated that he knew it was very far in advance, but this weekend was particularly important to them, so they had requested it.
So I think as a board, we can take it, even give it conditional, but we need someone to come in. They have to understand. I know we give them the process, but we always like to have them come in and know what they got to do. So I think we can grant it, but we should, again, hold it until somebody comes in officially. Maybe you can reach back out to that person.
We can have him come in to the next meeting. I'm sure he'll be here just to give an overview.
He's got a couple of weeks
Yeah.
to get here still before the date, so.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Maybe we can get him in.
He'll be here anyway,
Maybe
Mr.
after the
Chairman.
first of the year, even,
Yeah.
who knows? So what's the board's pleasure? Want to hold off on any actual vote till they show, or reserve this date for them at least?
I would reserve the date.
All right, why don't we just reserve these 2 dates pending them coming in, whoever that person may be. Thank you. 9, Town Administrator Report. Mr. Ruda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last Friday, Mr. Chairman, that was the week of the town meeting, I was copied on a notice from Pyle and Rome, who are labor and employment lawyers. I was copied on a letter from them to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Labor Relations regarding the submission of a petition for certification by written majority authorization between Dudley Town Hall employees and the USW, which is the United Steelworkers, expressing the Town Hall employees' intention to unionize. Quoting from the letter, it stated, this is the letter from Pyle and Rome, and it stated, I can assert with positive assurance that the USW has more than a majority of cards to automatically gain certification of this unit of employees. And then it goes on to say, if we have not heard from you by Monday, November 4th, today, we will be forwarding the matter to the Department of Labor Relations to complete verification process and certify USW as the employee's exclusive bargaining representative. Since then, I reached out to, obviously, the Labor Counsel, Mark Terry, and he's going to ask the firm to hold off on completing the verification and certification process until the Board of Selectmen has a chance to meet with Mark and discuss the town's options and strategy moving forward. And we'll get that on for executive session, hopefully for the November 18th agenda. So, there's that. The next one, Mr. Chairman, is aggregate energy, and the good news is, you know, at long last, we've received notification from DPU for our aggregation plan, and you recall that my office has been working on it really closely with Representative Marcy's office, Senator Fatman's office, trying to push DPU to get us the approval that we asked for quite a while ago. I think I mentioned to the board at one point that they had changed some of the application process mid-application, so that was another delay. But the good news is we're good to go now. Just to give you a brief overview, public overview, we signed a consultant agreement in August of '23. This is following town meeting approval in May of '23. We held a public review and comment period during September and October of '23. The Board of Selectmen voted approval of the aggregation plan in November of '23. And then after the required consultation with the Department of Energy, we submitted our application to DPU. And, we ran into that little bump that I just mentioned where they switched the guidelines, but now we're eligible to begin to solicit pricing through our consultant on the competitive market price. There's going to be another market. The pricing is going to come out again in December 21st, so we're kind of in a state of flux, but we're going to have them come in and talk publicly about our next steps. That's our consultants prior to that pricing coming out. And once we get more public involvement in terms of what type of energy we're going to choose or what options we're going to make available, we should be good to go in the March-April timeframe of next year, which it doesn't help so much in the winter, but it helps for AC next summer. So we're making some good progress there. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, the board recalls the AG's office informed us in August of this year of their need for an extension of the 90-day review period for the citizen petition article that added an audit committee to the town's bylaws at the May town meeting. The AG letter cited their need for further time to discuss the proposed bylaws, consistency with state law, and the extension was agreed to for an initial 60 days. So we've received a decision from the AG's office back last Friday. Last Friday was a big day. And that can be found posted on the town's website at dudleyma.gov. It's on the town clerk's page. So anybody who's interested in seeing it, the decision is published there. Go to dudleyma.gov, go to the town clerk's page, and you can read it for yourselves. The result was that the AG's office disapproved the passage of the citizen petition to form the audit committee in its entirety. For the AG to be able to disapprove a bylaw or any portion thereof, the Attorney General must cite an inconsistency between the bylaw and the state constitutional laws, and that comes right from the letter. They can't just arbitrarily say no to it. They have to cite the inconsistency. And again, that's posted on the town's website. If anybody's interested in reading that, they can go right there and take a look at it.
So, just to be clear, we didn't ask, the town did not ask for an extension of approval. That came from the Attorney General's office.
That's correct.
And that went through, obviously, with Attorney Blake and Attorney Renda. And we didn't reach out to them and ask them to turn down this.
They reached out to town council. It was Michelle, and she was actually on vacation when they requested the extension, and she was able to work through that while she was on vacation. So we did not initiate contact, and we certainly don't have any ability or jurisdiction to have any sway over the AG's office. So
There was a footnote provided by the AG's office that the proponent of the citizens petition had reached out to them on at least one occasion and urged passage.
I think that's right.
And I think the response from the Attorney General's office was, we thank them for their input.
I think that's right.
So we, essentially, none of us, we were out of it. You folks handled the request for the extension.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, a request for extensions from the AG for review of bylaws is extraordinarily common. And we typically, Michelle probably reached out to your administrator and asked, is that all right? Yeah. We strongly recommend that you agree. In fact, as a matter of course, I just agree, because.
What's the alternative?
What's the alternative?
Right.
So yes, it's not something that's, I don't think a town that I've worked for has ever initiated it, the request for an extension. It's because the AG has whatever they have to do it. I think it's 90 days. And as you can imagine, during the spring, they have 351 town meetings, and most of those have a bylaw that they have to review. And there's 3 of them in the office.
It just seemed there was some public confusion at one point about the town was the one initiating the delay and everything. I just want to make sure I heard Mr. Ruda correctly. It wasn't us, it was strictly.
That is correct.
Board member questions? Mr. Shames?
Nothing.
Mr. Landry?
Mr. Chairman, the aggregation plan approval moving forward, that's a great job by the TA's office. A lot of hard work, a lot of hours put into that, and I want them to be noticed for that. That's a great job for the whole town, and I thank you. On the union of the town hall employees, where that has come up after the issue with another petition for a personnel board. Doesn't say a lot for that petition. Obviously, lack of trust and respect for that they feel they have to move forward to this. So I hope that there wasn't a lot of haste in those petitions, and the same thing happened with the audit committee. Back in the spring of the town meeting, I asked for everyone to hold off on voting for the audit committee because the DOR was coming in and doing their review and their audit. And I wanted to make sure we had all the facts and didn't jump into this. And they chose not to listen, just to do their own thing. And this is the end result. If you're gonna do it right the first time. Clearly it wasn't. So that was a big waste of people's time. I'm sure they'll be back to try something else though. So there's one good thing out of those 3 items, and I want to focus on that and say thank you very much. Keep up the great work.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, through the chair, the aggregation possibilities of saving people, something that, you know, we talk about things that seem to outpace other types of inflation. I think the cost of energy is always in that. So, well done.
And I believe there's a pending request before DPU for like a 18% increase or something from National Grid too, so it's not gonna get any easier. Motion to accept the town administrator's report.
So moved.
Mr. Landry.
Second.
Multiple seconds. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jonathan, for the work on that. We're gonna skip over 10A for the library director. We're gonna go to 10B, Veteran Service Officer Stephen Rogerson. Come on up, Steve.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Board of Selectmen, and good to meet you, Jana. We haven't met yet. I did think I gave you a Vietnam book. I usually try to make available to other selectmen.
You did. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So lately, I've been going through the Veterans Office. We're required this year with a lot of training. I spent a week, and I'll go through it. I'll go through the activities. The 14th of September, we had a veteran golf tournament, which we did very well, raising money for the local veteran organizations such as the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and the Veterans Council. Those are the 3 organizations that do the most in our community between Webster and Dudley. On the 21st of September, I did a Medal of Liberty to the family of a fallen soldier from World War II from Webster, which I had to go to Milford for. That's a medal that's given to the family of a deceased soldier or, airman or sailor. It's a fairly new medal, and it's given basically from the governor of Massachusetts. It's a Massachusetts medal to the family. It's not for a veteran, to a soldier. I had, from the 23rd to the 28th, I had, for a whole week, I had VA training and recertification. Whole week, put out of the operation. And basically in October, the 21st to the 25th, I had Massachusetts Veterans Conference in training and recertification with both VA and Massachusetts benefits. And on the 29th, which was like 3 days later, I had to go away for military records last week for military training recertification. And a lot of things are changing. And I have 2 days of legal training towards the end of the month. So really, the training I've had in the last 2 months has been really extreme. And a lot of changes, which is what's happening, I'm seeing with the state. The state's pushing a lot, and the towns can't absorb the amount of effort that's being pushed on the veterans officer. I went to training, it ended 2 weeks ago with the state. Now, I've been the veterans officer in this town since 2016. I can only identify 5 people out of all the towns and cities in Massachusetts who were there at the conference that I knew when I was appointed. And when I came back, 4 VSOs had resigned in Worcester County. I mean, because it's just so much work, and a lot of veterans officers having trouble keeping up with it. I'm okay with it, but there are a lot of them, like Rich Lever, my predecessor. If he was in a conference, I don't think you'll recognize anybody, not one person. So I'll go into November, the plan going forward. Courts of Valor event, I'm doing at the Acor Daycare, which is the old Elks building in Webster, and I'm going to Dudley Middle School this Wednesday. And the 11th, of course, is Veterans Day, so we have the parade, we have a lunch at the PAV and other events. And the day after, we're having the Veterans Day luncheon. They wanted to have it the Thursday prior, which would have been this Thursday, but I give out support checks to veterans in both communities, Webster and Dudley. Of course, everybody in this room knows I have both communities. I have a district. They share me. And the 17th of, so it'll be that following Sunday after Veterans Day, we're having a church service at St. Andrew Babola, a Roman Catholic church across the street here. And they had asked me that when I was away at training, actually, that I could do that. I had another request today, but I told them it was almost impossible to meet that. We have so much activity going on right now. Now, we have veterans we have to support in the community as well, which takes priority. And I had to talk to Webster about that today, one of the schools, that I have to give priority to the Webster and the Dudley veterans who really need help, which is falling back a little bit because I had to go away for so much training. So I apologize to them, but not much I can do. So that's about it. Chairman, if you have any questions for me on the training, I'm willing to answer any questions you have.
So I was going to ask you, what time's the parade step off so people at home know? I mean, we know.
Say again?
What time's the parade step off from here? I mean, we all know, but.
It's 11 o'clock. I have the whole plan. I've emailed it to you
Yeah, no, we have it, but the people
before
at home.
training. So if the parade starts actually in Dudley, so we take a bus. You know, we have our local events for veterans over at the Webster Lake where the monuments are. And then we take our private owned vehicles, we go to the Veterans Home, which is in Webster where my other office is, and we have something to eat that the Dudley Women's Club prepares for us. And then we get on the bus and it comes to Dudley and we come off, we have an event there. All you pretty much are familiar with the event. Then we march from Dudley to Town Hall in Webster, which we have kind of like the same type of event, a little bit longer, a little more activity there. And then when that concludes, we then go over to the Polish American Veterans Club that's on Ray Street in Webster. So that's pretty much the whole day. There could be something else added to it, but currently that's where it stands. A lot of work goes into this. I did try to finish all of it before I left for training with the Commonwealth. Because I knew when I came back I'd be hammered with a lot of extra items. So I thank you for, hopefully this was what you were expecting.
Yep. Any questions for the VSO?
Mr. Chairman, just
Mr. Lane.
real quick, first, thank you to our VSO, Stephen Rogerson, for all the hard work and the hours put in from you and your team. The increase, is there an increase in veterans that you're now serving? Has that number gone up?
It's gone up and it's gonna go up. They didn't, speaking about attorneys, they had some attorneys speaking to us, and I was waiting for the Commonwealth to break down to me what's the change in qualification. They're looking to lessen the qualification. These are people I just can't get into it completely because they wouldn't even speak about it, but the documentation I've seen so far, it seems they're gonna open it up where more people will be available and will be qualified to get state benefits by Chapter 115, CMR 108. That's where it all falls under that. But it is growing, yes. The request is growing. We're keeping up with it, but I have a feeling soon it's going to be a little too much.
And how many of those can you assist over to federal benefits?
Every veteran, or say even widow, that I can transfer over to federal. I've done a pretty good job. When I first started here, we were paying out, and the chairman can pretty much understand this, about $19,000-$20,000 a week were being paid out. It's dropped down to about $11,000. It's currently now. And I always look at the veteran trying to do a claim, a VA, it's a legal process, a VA disability claim for a pension, either service-connected or non-service-connected pension, to bring them over to federal. And I believe the federal benefit is better because it's permanent, and it also gives them additional VA medical care that they wouldn't otherwise have. There's a lot of things moving around right now with these different lawsuits with the VA, Lejeune, Camp Lejeune, and the other ones as well. But it's a lot of work. But I really feel that it's just the state's pushing a lot on us, and really to do it right, the towns would have to add to it. And I don't think a lot of towns can. I'm just being honest. It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, to go into the state system to get a DD 214 discharge paper or other documentation before, a person would come in, I'd ask them basic questions to prove who they were related to the veteran, maybe he had passed, or the veteran himself, to find out we could give him the documentation. It's like 10 minutes. I had this certification help me with that. Now it could be take an hour. It could take an hour to do documentation, because now they want to fill out a VA form SF-180, which is what I have to do for National Archives, which is in St. Louis, which they basically have all the documents. But Massachusetts is the only state where they cover a lot of documents for their veterans. But now the workload is going to be really over the top. I just had to speak to my clerk today about that we have to be very careful when we go through this process now, and we have to make sure the paperwork's filled out properly, and it's signed off, and that we get a copy of the ID, and I have to ask additional questions to, the person who's requesting documentation. So it's just a lot more coming down the pipe.
Make sure you let us know if you need anything.
I appreciate it. And thank the town administrator as well. He's been very, very supportive and helpful. So, thank you.
Thank you.
You all set? Okay. You got anything? No. Thanks, Steve. See you on the 11th. Board member comments. Mr. Shanes.
No, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made you wait all night. I almost skipped you. Fire Chief, EMS, Dean Kochanowski, introduction of Deputy Fire Chief, Eric Spall, please come forward.
And Laura's here as well for the end.
Yep. I got the memo for it anyway. Greetings.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
So, in light of Deputy Konechny's retirement, we went through a process at the fire station. We decided to stay internal. We thought it would be the best way moving forward. Eric was the only qualified candidate. He's been serving as captain for the last 3 years. He's a certified inspector. He started on the fire department in 2000 as a call member. He went full-time in 2006 and has progressed through the ranks since then. He gets along really well with all the guys down there. He's shown good leadership ability. Again, he knows the inner workings of how the inspections go, the permitting, all the computer stuff. So he handles that very well, and I think it'll be a smooth transition. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to him to say a few words.
Captain Spall.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank the board, the town administrator, the fire chief. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to my first day tomorrow.
Board members.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Heard a lot about you. Always done a great job. Always there. Always have the motivation. And I'm looking forward to your new position, doing even better. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely looking forward to seeing what you're going to do, what comes next.
This is pretty good. I've been around long enough to appoint Eric.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to beat you up with the stories, but he was there when I needed him most, and I think this is a great appointment. He comes from a great family. I believe his father served.
Yes.
Right? Rescue squad, Mike?
He was on the fire
Oh, full
department.
fire?
For
Okay.
EMS, yeah.
Comes from another good, solid family. We appreciate everything you do. So what's the board's pleasure? Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to, is promote the right word?
Yeah.
Appoint?
Promote.
Make a motion to promote Eric Spall to Deputy Fire Chief, effective immediately.
Second.
Second by Mr. Landry. Any comments from the public? Hearing none. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you.
Bring his family up. Come on up, you folks.
The town clerk is here to swear him in.
Don't stick him, chief.
Already in it.
It's already in.
He barely flinched. Come on up for a picture, Eric. Bring your family. There you are. Come on, Mrs. Spall. Both Mrs. Spalls. Oh, both of us. Get them all. What's up with Ryan? You get shy all of a sudden? Wake up the other guy.
His little one's sleeping.
It's too late. You want to see it so bad.
You tell him, Pepe, or whatever you are, Grampy.
Opa.
Opa.
Eric, smile.
Incapable.
He doesn't do that.
Takes after his father.
I smile.
I know. Chief, congratulations.
Great job. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mrs. Spall. Mrs. Spall, nice to see you.
Go through the thing and she'll show you, Eric. Outstanding job, Paul.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you don't see him too much, Eric. Town council.
He's got to go up to the podium.
He's in big trouble now.
We're going to have a swearing-in ceremony. Town Clerk Laurie Smith, who's got a very busy week.
I, Eric Spall,
I, Eric Spall,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the State of Massachusetts,
that I will support the Constitution of the State of Massachusetts,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will be of true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the government's establishment
and to the government's establishment
in the United States,
in the United States,
in this state, under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Deputy Chief of the Dudley Fire Department,
all the duties of the office of Deputy Chief of the Dudley Fire Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I stay up here so you know this is Department of Communications?
I'm going to make you go last.
Well, I don't want to come back up a third time.
So I don't see it on here, but we'll do department heads.
Well, it says Department Communication under 10.
We still got to do that.
No, I just wanted to bring up, I sent out the rave on Saturday for the brush fire concerns. We've since been out 6 times in the last 24 hours for people burning. I sent you that memo about section 10.10.2 of the Comprehensive Fire Safety Code, that the authority having jurisdictions can ban all open recreational and cooking fires or other sources of ignition, or establish regulations on the use of any form of fire or smoking material where circumstances make such conditions hazardous. Under Annex A of the code, hazardous conditions include extreme drought or red flag type conditions that can result in rapidly developing wildfires. Normally, we don't bother people. We leave them alone. I don't care. They can have cooking fires within reason, but due to the extreme conditions, we're putting a temporary ban on everything. Like I said, we went out end of last week, somebody's burning leaves next to their house. We go to another call, somebody's burning in their backyard. It just can't happen right now. There's multiple brush fires that are hundreds of acres that are still burning. Monson is one example. We were out there the first night because the task force was activated. We've been to Holden. They were up there for 4 or 5 days. It's just a real dangerous situation right now. Until we get a significant rainfall, you just can't burn anything. And also, that came from the fire marshal's office this afternoon was Chapter 148 of Mass General Law, Section 30, gives us the authority to fine people. So if we go back a second time and you're caught burning again, it's a $50 fine. And for every subsequent time we go back, it's an additional $50.
Should be 500.
Again, I'm just asking that the people work with us. I mean, these brush fires, some of them are repeating on houses. It's not a good situation. I mean, it's the weather, but eventually it'll pass and people can go back to having their ornamental fires and do whatever, and we won't bother you. I do appreciate the fact that I have to thank some of the citizens that they did call in if they saw burning. So I know some people listen to the rave alert, so thank you for that.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions for the chief? I'm going to recognize the Assistant Town Administrator as Human Resources. Anything to report?
Nothing this week, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Superintendent Gasky.
Just want to let everybody know that we were out towards the end of last week fixing street lights. There are still a few more on the list. If you have a street light out, you can post it on the website, town website, and because I'm not out all night long looking at street lights that are out, so I don't know if they're out or not. So we post them on there. We have a private company that comes in and fixes them, so it's not right away to get fixed. We have a certain amount that we have to need to before we call them. So.
Any questions for the superintendent? Town accountant. Sarah Monjo.
Not much, thank you. Been pretty busy. We are working on the recap right now, and it's a coordinated effort with the assessor's office, the treasurer, and myself. So we have some work to do there and get that submitted, and then need to catch up on monthly closings for the receivables and the cash. So hopefully we'll all get on the same page, the treasurer and my office, and get you some numbers. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to speak in more detail to you in maybe the next meeting or one after that, where we'll do a financial presentation about the town. If you have anything that you'd like to hear specifically, if you could let me know, and I'll incorporate it in that presentation. Thank you.
Any questions for the accountant?
Mr. Chair, a couple quick ones.
Oh, sure.
Where are we with the reconciliation with the receivables and cash?
I've received July. I've posted that. We're behind with August. I have not got the okay to post the August cash yet. So August, September, October need to be posted.
Okay. And roughly where are we with the Hopper's payroll situation?
We were in discussions. We had meetings last week. We need to, I would like to see us move forward with whatever we can get automated, and then slowly work the bugs out and move forward with the other departments that have more work to do or are more intensive than the the salaried employees.
What are we looking for a time frame, roughly?
I would say, well, we keep trying. I mean, we were trying to get it live in August, so there's some pushback. I would hope maybe in the next couple months.
Is your office comfortable and ready to move forward?
Yes, we are.
So the pushback obviously isn't in your office.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope. Thanks, Sarah. Just as an aside, Mr. Landry's questions are, we're in the process of scheduling a meeting, myself and Mr. Ruda with the department heads, and then we're gonna meet with the treasurer over certain things. So, you know, Rich isn't here tonight, so it is something we are working on and trying to do it in a non-quorum setting right now, so it'd be easier to meet as a group and then bring everybody in as necessary, and hopefully that's gonna be in the next week or two. Chief Collins.
Just real quick, tomorrow's a big day, Election Day. I'm sure Lori's not here, but I'm sure Lori's looking forward to that day ending. But overall, our town, I wish I could say we didn't have any issues, but we did have issues. We had a couple of signs that were stolen prior to the elections, and we worked hard to make sure that people were respectful. And I hope tomorrow, when people come out to vote, they're respectful to the wardens. They do a hard job as it is already. Abide by the rules. It's not rules set by the town. It's rules set by the state. So I just ask that people be civil, respectful, and if they have opinions, you can go across the street, voice your opinions, but again, listen to the polls, the wardens, and I hope tomorrow's a good day, but uneventful day. Thank you.
Any questions for the chief? I just want to thank the chief publicly. There was a situation that could have been bigger than it was in one of our neighborhoods in town last week, and his men handled it professionally and turned out to be nothing, but it could have been something. But I want to I think I saw the cruisers when they were leaving the neighborhood, the three guys that responded has handled it well. And thank you for the quick response, you and Lieutenant Anise. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
George, anything you want to add? Board member comments. Mr. Johnson.
Thinking back on town meeting, I'm starting a line of questioning on just about any topic now, and we really got to focus on what is a problem that we want to solve, and create a solution that meets the needs of the town to solve a problem. And there's a lot of focus on apparently solutions looking for a problem. So I had some line of questioning a few meetings back, and I don't know if we just think about what is the problem we're trying to solve, and will that solution solve that problem? I think a lot of these topics at town meeting can be resolved without going to the Attorney General and have them tell us that these are not solutions that can go through. And thinking about things that we have to do, you don't have to like that the DEP is requiring things. You don't have to like that sky is blue, but these are the rules and the enforcement by state agencies, and the idea is to improve the safety of the drinking water of a part of town as a result of X decades old problems. It's what needs to be done for safety. It's disappointing that we couldn't move forward with a solution that can be embraced by the public. So that's what I'm thinking.
Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to wish everybody a safe and happy election day tomorrow. As the chief was asking, be respectful of one another, come in, do your thing, get out. And to all my brothers and sisters, veterans out there, happy Veterans Day. Thank you.
Mr. Shanes.
I want to thank everyone that came out to the Spooktacular about a week and a half ago. It was an awesome event. There were so many kids. It was great turnout. But these are the kind of events that the Recreation Commission puts together. They put so much work into it, and I want to thank them publicly for having me and allowing me to kind of contribute a little bit. Just keep an eye out for what's coming up, and if it's open to the public, check it out. Go, try to get some time. You can't all the time. I understand that nobody has 1,000 hours in the day, even though we try. But try to catch the fun things. That's all.
I want to just, again, congratulate the promotions we made tonight. Wish Paul Konishka long and healthy retirement. Echo what Mr. Johnson said. It's unfortunate at the town meeting, the questions that should have been answered at the public hearings aren't well attended. And I get it, people don't have time to come to everything, but I think with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of effort, would have helped us go a long way. Echo the chief, echo everybody else. Tomorrow is a sacred day. You have the right to vote. It's a right granted to all the citizens. Please don't take it lightly. Please don't take it out on people if someone doesn't have the same belief as you. There's decorum you must follow at the polls. Don't put yourself in a position where you may not be able to cast your vote. You can't be having political signage on your body. You can't be within a certain amount of feet of the polling place. You can't impede someone from coming and going. So I just have some decorum. It's a great day. I stopped by on, I think it was Thursday. We had over 1,200 early voters. That's not counting mail-in or absentee ballots. We'll never have 100% turnout, but it'd be nice to be up in the 70s or 80s. But please, I don't really care who you vote for. Just exercise your right to vote, but exercise the person who's voting next to you's right to do it in a peaceful manner. That's all I have to say. So, what's the board member? Who's going to take us into executive session? I'm not getting the motion on my computer.
I'll make a motion to move into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
You also need to say the reason for going in.
Yep, so this is
To discuss the PFAS.
to discuss
Possible PFAS litigation.
Article 8 special town meeting denial, failure.
Motion made.
Second.
Second by Mr. Landry. Roll call vote.
Jana DeShane, aye.
Mark Landry, aye.
Jay Johnson, aye.
Stephen Sullivan, aye. We will not be reconvening in open session.
Thank you.
Take care.